I would like to welcome everybody to today's webinar. Tom Tortolani here, Head of Product at SafeSite Check-in. By way of an agenda, I want to do just a quick company and product update and then go right into a demo, just show you some of the new things that we've recently released into the product. I know we've got both customers and prospective customers on the call today, so I might do a bit of a recap on some of the capabilities, but this webinar shouldn't really take more than probably 20 minutes to go through some of the updates. We do have the ability for you to post questions in the Q&A. So during the session, if you do that, we might try and answer them as we go along. But at the end, we'll go ahead and save time for a Q&A if we missed any questions that you might have had. So a quick company update. As many of you know, the company started back in June of last year, and progressively we've had a good uptick in the number of customers and interest in the product. As of today, we're running at about 85,000 check-ins per month across all of our customers and the sites that they have with SafeSite Check-in. I'd say initially we started out as a company very focused on response for COVID and getting sites open, particularly in construction. Over the months, we've added a lot of capabilities to bolster the features of the product to address that, but we've also started to add a lot of capabilities in the product that go beyond COVID, a lot more reporting, a lot more information, site awareness, site intelligence type capabilities that provide you a lot more data about what's happening on your different sites that go well beyond COVID. We do have a lot of customers now, both in the US and Canada. I want to thank everybody again today for being a customer. What we're going to talk about and what I'll show is we've introduced in the last few releases a lot of capabilities around letting you capture more information about your visitors coming into the site. That takes the form, for example, of having the visitor be able to pick a host that they want to notify when they've arrived on the site, to also capturing additional information about the visitor. So in addition to what we've traditionally done about just knowing who's checked in, what time they've checked in, and whether they're granted or denied access to a site, now you can ask the visitor to provide additional information such as who they've actually come to the site to see, what destinations or areas within a site they intend to work or visit, what activities they plan to perform when they're on site, and other information that we can customize just as part of the information that you might want to capture from your visitors. So we really tried to build a system now to not only know who's on the site, but when, where, and what they're doing on the site as well. I'll show those in a moment. The other thing we've invested in quite a bit is to provide a lot more information through the application. We call it the Help Center. That provides a link to a lot of troubleshooting information, how-to information, videos, and additional content that you might find useful or your site admins and supervisors might find useful as well. The other thing I want to let you know is that we are releasing a native mobile app. So today we've got the web app, which basically works with the browser on the phone. And with native mobile app, it'll have the same capabilities, but for those who want to have an icon on their phone, and we've actually noticed when we test the native app that it actually performs or goes a little faster through the check-in process. So for those who want something with a quicker user experience, the native app will be available. We've actually got that in test now. So if any of you or your users are interested in trying a native app, please let me know. I have my contact information, the slide at the end of the presentation, but we do have actively some of our customers currently testing native app with the idea that we'll publish those to both the Android, Google Play Store, and the Apple Store probably within 30 days. I'm showing you our admin application. So this is made available to users in your organization that you want to be able to manage the different sites and the different users that might have access and visibility to the site event history and all the different reports that are within the application. And what I'm going to start out to show you how actually a check-in happens through the application. So when you define a particular site, let's say this particular location, you provide information about the name of the site number, whether or not you want to make the site active for check-ins, and other information about the address and location. Now, in our system, we have the notion of different roles. So the administrator is a role that somebody signs into this application. They have visibility to manage the app and all the sites. But we also have a notion of a supervisor, where a supervisor can be assigned to one or more sites. And when they sign into the application, they just simply see a list of the sites that they are assigned and can then look at all the check-in activity and the analytics around those particular sites. We recently also introduced the notion notion of a host. Host pretty much can do everything that a supervisor can do, but once you identify somebody as a host, when the user checks into the app, they can actually select the host, the person that they're there to see on the site, and then the host actually gets notified when that user arrives on site, whether they're granted or denied a check-in. The supervisors are the ones that get, and admins are the ones that would be set up for alerts if somebody gets denied a check-in based on their responses to the entry questions that are set up. So what I want to do is actually just do a quick check-in to this particular site. We do have our real-time event log, and for example, you can see over time all the check-ins to that particular site. This is available for the supervisors on their phone as well. But I'll go ahead and just show you the check-in process. So normally a user would scan a QR code that's associated with the site. Typically that's put on a poster at the entrance to the site, and then the user would check in through their mobile device. The application is set up to kind of work in a mobile device, but I'm showing you this on my laptop, so you kind of see a big wide screen here. Right, so as we go through the check-in process, we're going to provide our contact information. The application can be customized, so you decide whether or not you want to ask certain contact information of your visitors or whether you want to make that optional. But based on the configuration for this particular site, you can see this is the information that's being requested. The thing that is new is that if you add a host to a site, you notice that the list of the hosts shows up. If there's only a single host, then we automatically select that for the visitor and they're good to go. If there are more than one hosts associated to a site, then the user could pick which one they actually want to notify that they've arrived on the site, and then they continue their check-in process. Now, typically the check-in process would involve a number of entry questions. These again can be customized. You decide which questions are relevant for your business. I'll just go ahead and do this quickly. And you can also customize and add additional questions as you need for your business as well. For this one, for example, is a custom question that we had entered into the system. Then the last part is the terms. These can be customized. You can add PDF attachments. If you have other policies or liability waivers, things you want to offer and have them check off as they come into the site. Again, these things can be set up to force them to check a box before they get in. But I'll go ahead and actually confirm that I've checked into the site. Right, and then I'll go back to the application. You see that now it's actually logged that I've entered into the site. The admins and supervisors, when they actually click on a record, they can get more detailed information about that visitor, all their contact information, and in this case, the host that they identified they were there on site to see. And then shortly, I'm going to show you some analytic reports where in those reports, that type of information would also show up. I want to go through and just show you another site. This particular site has been set up with additional info about what activities, what locations on the site they were there to see, and what contacts that they are also there to see on site. So this particular site has been set up in that fashion, and we'll go ahead and do a check-in for this. Right, so my contact information remembers from the last time I was into the app. Now, you notice on this page that it actually is asking the user to provide additional information. So for example, if you want them to identify who they're there to see, you can type that in. It could be a free-form field. What activities they plan to do when they're on the site. This is a list that can be customized. We can do it for a particular site, or you can have this apply to all your sites. So for example, if I'm there to actually do framing, a particular site, I would pick that. We also allow these to be multiple selection. So if they're actually there to perform multiple activities, you can set up the app to also do that. And then within the job site, perhaps they're going to be on a certain location within a larger job site. In this case here, it could be they pick one destination, or we could set it up so you select multiple destinations. So maybe during the day, they plan to be in these two different locations on the site. Now you notice in this case, it didn't ask any of the health questions. So this goes back to the ability to customize the application to present entry questions and terms that fit your business need. So when we set up this demo site, we decided to skip the health questions in this case, right? Right, so you notice here now I've been granted to this other site. And then when I look at the information behind it, you'll see that the administrators, the supervisors, the host, when they have the app up, They can see not only the visitor's contact information, but also who they were there to see, what activities they plan to perform when they were on the site, and what destinations they plan to visit when they were in the site as well. Quick recap. We make it easy to customize the questions, the information you want to present to the visitors when they come in through the admin app. We do have the ability to set at the overall level for your company the questions that are asked across all the sites as the user comes in. So for example, in this case here, we're asking for the name, the address, the email, and so on. But some of these fields can actually be made optional, so you don't have to force them to put it in an address or interface here in the app. You can simply say that I want to make this mandatory or not when the user comes in. Or you might say, I don't really need to ask them that question, and you can make that an inactive question. And then when the visitors come into the site, they will not be asked that information when they initially come in. So whether it's the contact information, the entry questions, we have our standard library of questions. You can also add additional questions to meet your business need. And you can also set up whether or not you expect them to answer yes or no to a question, which determines access to a site if they answer a question in the way that you don't expect. Same with the entry terms. These are the check boxes, the last step that basically says that the visitor is just going to abide to certain terms, or maybe there's a document or a waiver or something you want them to acknowledge when they come in. You can do that as well. I want to take a quick look at the analytics. So we continue to build up a catalog of reports and views that provide a lot of insight as to what's happening across one or more sites. For example, I'll just show one of the metrics reports where this is available to admins, and also in our Supervisor app, when they sign into their device, they also have access to these reports as well, and they'll see just the content filtered based on the sites that they've been assigned. These reports do typically take about 10 seconds or so to come up, depending on the internet connection. So we're going to give this thing here a few more seconds to fire up. Once you see that this opens up, that you have the ability to filter content on these reports. You have the ability to take the content and then export it out to different targets. So for example, based on the state range that's set up, I can go into the report and change the date if I want to do that. Across all the sites that I've got for my company, it's showing by month how many check-ins happened, how many were granted, how many were denied. You can look at it by day. This type of information then can be downloaded if you want to share that to different people in your organization. And some of the more interesting ones are, we get into things like contact tracing reports, where you can put in the name of one of your visitors, and the report returns a list of all the sites that they've visited and all the other visitors that were on the same sites on the same days. But I want to show you actually the visitor event report. And this is one that captures a lot more information about the visitors that come into the site. In addition to the time, date, the company they've entered as part of their check-in process, it will also show what activities they said they were planning to perform or they were on the site, and then what destinations they were planning to also do when they're on the site. So we tried to really build up a system of comprehensive information around what's happening with the activities within your sites, who's there, what they're doing, and present it in a way that's easy for you and your employees to understand. So you'll see here that I just checked in as part of the demo, the demo to this site called Lexington Circle. I had identified Tom Smith as the person that I was there to visit. I selected I was going to do framing, and then here are the destinations that I plan to visit when I was on the site. If you look at the other one that I had done on the deli, basically I did not set the site up to ask a question about the activities or the destinations they performed. So you don't see that for that site, again, because it wasn't set up to do that, but it could easily have been done. All right, so I also want to take a quick look at the Help Center in the admin app and also the Supervisor app in the main menu. You click on this link and it takes you to actually the SafeSite check-in website, and it shows you our support page. In there, we put a lot of topical information, troubleshooting, so common problems our customers may have as they're using the application. You can take a look at the symptom and then take a look at what things you might want to try to kind of troubleshoot and get around a problem. We've also included what we call I Can Do That. The idea behind this is that it provides information to you and your employees about what types of things they can do with the application to get the most value out of the subscription, right? So if you want to look at how do you do advanced filtering of event log records, we give you a description. There's actually a video here that's it's under a minute to quickly show them exactly what we mean. So all these kind of topical things that are in here, I think would also be of interest to you to see how you can get the most value out of the application, right? Contact tracing in less than 60 seconds. And then we do publish a list of every time we do an update to the app, what's new, what did we add since the last release, for example. So this is baked into the application, and over time we'll add more content. Same thing with the tutorial videos. This opens up and gives you more tutorial instructional videos on how to set up the application or take advantage of certain features that are within the application. All right, so with that, I'd like to go ahead and go back to my main slide. I did want to mention that we have implemented a referral program. If you know of other companies that might benefit from SafeSite Check-in, and you refer them to us and they become a customer of SafeSite Check-in, a $50 Amazon gift card for every reference that you or your employees may give. We also introduced recently a nonprofit program. So any nonprofit organization that could benefit from SafeSite Check-in, we're offering a free subscription. So if you know people, others that are part of a nonprofit organization and can benefit from SafeSite Check-in, please let them know, because we're offering basically the ability to have the application for free. I've also put my email down below, but we've also got support@safesitecheckin.com. If you ever need to log any questions, also through our support page, you have the ability to also log questions, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So with that, again, I'd like to thank everybody for attending today's session.